Okay, I'm going to mix a very, very watered down mixture of yellow ochre in order to put a little bitty wash over this. And it is so watered down that it's mostly water. And I don't want to cover the whole thing the same way. And I do want to still leave some whites, but I don't want them all over the place. So I'm going to just kind of randomly start here, and I'll leave the top of this white, and then back here, for this little petal sticking up, I'm going to just put the wash over it, and in a minute I'll cool it with some blue because it's behind this one. Coming on around, I'll just, that's purple. Let's see, I'll just knock this down a little bit right in here. I'm also thinking about where do I really want my whites, my lightest whites. And that's probably near, the center, not out in some of these other petals. I can always do more, but it's harder to take it back, you know that. I'll warm that up just a little bit too. So you can probably barely see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to go up on that one and do a little bit more because it's even a more off-white color. And since it is not my center of interest, I might just go over this whole thing, just leaving some little edges of white here and there. So that just knocks it down just a little bit. And then this part, I can really go ahead and put a shadow over most of that part that's going to be white. And I made one determination. I've confirmed a determination. This is a very, very difficult iris to paint. Even when I trace it with my finger on the photograph and try to figure out what's going on in here, I get lost. So I just kind of given up, and I'm just going to make it my own little iris. Okay, so inside the little, inside, I still haven't looked up the terms. I was going to do that. Forgot again. Let's just call all of this part the inside for simplicity. I'm going to warm it up just a little bit and make a little more glow there. So I just put a little wash of cad yellow. And then it needs to get darker in here, all of this right here. So I think, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and get that color back. I don't remember what I used, but I think I put some alizarin crimson in it. And we'll just try that. But I want to get it darker in places like the iris really was. Right in here. And again, I always do this. I'm sneaking up on it. Don't want to make any huge commitments yet. And this middle has a dark. So we need to start getting some depth in this iris. Okay. That's probably enough for now. That just gives it a little more look of having an inside to it. The main thing on this, I'm going to jump over to the purple petals. The main thing is to decide what's in light and what's in shadow, and just paint around the lights. So I'm going to start with my quinacridone magenta. And I made the decision to put my photo on my little clip so you won't be able to see it. That's not why I did it. I wanted to get it out of the way because I realized I was always holding it up here in front of the painting, so I wanted to get it out of the way so you can kind of follow along your photo if you want to. I'm putting the magenta where I see it pinker in the photo. And then I'm going to come over it with a purpler color. And you know, when I made the decision what colors to use, part of it was that I could let the magenta show through some of the purples. And I think that's I'm glad I did it that way. It might not end up looking like the real iris, but who is ever going to see this iris anyway? Okay, I'm going to soften some edges and then go in with the purple. So I'll just mix a little cobalt. And there's a really pretty little edge right here. I'll paint around. I can always knock that down later if I want to. But right now, we're going to leave it just because I want to leave it. And there's a kind of shadow under this. You know, I think after a point with this flower, and if you paint this flower, you'll probably agree with me, after a point, you just have to just start painting because you can't tell what's going on in this thing. And it's beautiful, but it's just very, very involved. So after a point, if you follow this picture like a slave, you're not going to enjoy painting the painting. And I'm stepping back as much as I can. Trying to find where I am. This comes up a little bit right there. Painting around some lights. And if you look at a light and can't decide how to paint around it, just look at it as a shape. You know, what shape is this? Well, like right here, I've got a little triangle shape. Now I'm going to get in trouble because I'm painting up. You should always go down. And why I did that. Let me soften this edge so I can come back to it. So now I'm going to get a larger brush with some, oh my goodness, stepping back, I got that pink, much too pink, so let me knock that down really quick. I was trying to get cobalt on my brush. I didn't get anything on my brush. I didn't want the pink to scream like that. It's a pretty color, but it's just so strong. It's going to be a little difficult to lift out too, I have a feeling. Now, quinacridone magenta and cobalt blue, I'm going to mix them together this time. And I'm going to come down, and you have to think about trying to look into the shadows. I know you can't in a photo very well because the camera lies about the shadows. But try your best to visualize some little lighter areas would be. And you do that mainly by painting the contour, kind of the way the petal grows. It comes out like this, little folds and everything. And so be sure you try to capture that. And soften before things get out of hand here. And there's some little, you can't see them, but they're little tiny, tiny lines right up in here. So I'm going to kind of make those come out and connect to some of this stuff. Okay. Come down again. This is a new brush. It's a Silver Black Velvet 3000 series. And it's one that I saw Michael Reardon use in his demo, and he said they were very inexpensive and had very good points. So I got one, and the jury's still out on it. And I'm using it right now because I dropped my other one on the floor, and I'm too lazy to pick it up right this second. But I'll let you know how I like it. Okay, there's a nice light I'm going to try to leave. Okay, let's see. I'm going to mix this pink a little bit before I just lay it on there straight, and we'll do this petal. But hopefully you can start to see the little folds taking place. Oops. Now I want to put some a bit thicker paint here for this shadow. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a little wash over that one and do it the same way. And same for this one. We'll have those purples in, and it'll be easier to judge other things, I hope. Okay, now I want to go back, hopefully it's still wet, and put a little pinker in here. Sometimes if you go over the whole thing, you won't get watermarks. So I went over my shadow too. Now I want to go over this part of the leaf, petal, excuse me. I'm really bad about that. And then there's a tiny little plane change. I'm going to try to get just some blue on my brush and bring it out where this starts facing out really towards the sky. That's why I'm going to make it a little bluer. And then we have a little light ridge, and then it gets more purple. So I'll start, oops, that's not more purple. So I'll start out more I cannot get that purple, just more blue. Okay, so I'm going to start out more purple, and then I'll put the shadow on. And this gets lighter right out here, so I'm going to add some water. Now, thicker paint, still the cobalt violet, no, I'm wrong, cobalt blue and quinacridone violet. And a shadow right there. Oops, well, there'll be a shadow there too. Okay, hopefully this is wet, because right under here, there's a shadow. And it kind of goes on up to here. Then when I paint more background behind here, this little bitty sliver of purple will be lighter, and it'll show. Let's see. I think it goes all the way back here. Okay, this edge is way too white, but everything's wet around it, and I don't want to mess with it right now. So, this is the little hairy thing I haven't looked up the name of. So I can form it more by the background, but then at the bottom of it, I want to shadow it just a little bit. It's not what I'm doing right now, but I will in a second. So I'm going to put a little bit of just blue-gray color, real watered down, right there. Then let it come up into the light. Okay, now let's get over here. And I'm going to, what was I going to do? Soften something. Oh yeah. Let's soften that right there. Okay. Now, let's get that in. This looks way too purple, but I'm going to wait just a minute and worry about it in a minute. I haven't used the lavender like I said I might. And I'm going to test this out. It's an opaque color, so I'm really watering it down. And I'm going to test it out over here. It's probably dry by now, and just see how that looks. Well, I don't know if I like it. It's not going to hurt anything to leave it there. And I don't want the highlights white because this is a dark purple iris, so that wouldn't work very well. Let me try another experiment on this petal over here. Now I've got the lavender on my brush. I think I want to use it because I've just been out of it so long and I want to use it. So if this doesn't work, we won't do it. Okay. Now I'm taking the purple mixture. That petal's really light over there. Oh my goodness. That's where I got so heavy with that quinacridone magenta. I'm going to put a shadow under there. And kind of knock some of that down. There's shadow again. Sure what that is back there. It looks like another petal. And then I'll go back to the lavender and we'll just see how this dries and how it looks. And you can determine if you want to do it on yours. I'll call it. Now, let's, since we've got this whole petal just about done, I want to really quickly, I think I'll just put some lavender, and it's mostly water, this mixture. I'm just knocking the white out here. Now I want to go ahead and put the mat on it, and we'll see how it looks so far.